afternoon or evening. This is Chef Jack coming to you once again from my basement. And today we're going to talk about flavor. So this is lesson 4. Again, with this video, I'm going to change the format a little bit. Hopefully, I say this every week, but I will try to speed this up a little bit. And I will see how I do. So hopefully you're getting a rhythm of this class. Also, don't forget this week you've got your paper due on industrialization of food. And I did, in the outline, I did create a little video. So if you need help with your paper, take a look at the video. All right, building flavor. So you look at characteristics of a dish. It's not only just smell or taste. It's appearance, color, shape, shine, arrangement. And just think of it when someone serves you a dish. You're smelling it, but then there's also the visual component of it. The aroma, taste, of course, and then the mouthfeel. If you're eating fried chicken, you want a certain texture or crispiness to it. Or if you're eating, like chocolate mousse, you want it to be creamy and no lumps. So it encompasses, appearance, aroma, taste, and mouthfeel. So good taste is a hallmark of good cooking. What is flavor? Think of it. What is flavor? Flavor, part taste, but mostly smell or aroma. Can anyone tell me what that thing is in your nose that actually senses smell? That's correct, maybe. The olfactory. And that's just the organ that's in your nose that detects smells. In your tongue, you taste 5 things, salt, sour, bitter. But your nose, your olfactory, can sense, literally hundreds or thousands of different aromas, scents. And then the book talked about the harmony of ingredients. You've got your primary flavor, which is the flavor that gives it the main dish. Then there's other things, supporting flavors, that kind of support and enhance those primary flavors. Book, it talked about quête de veau. So the primary flavor is veal, and veal is a pretty, neutral or very delicate flavor. So you have to be careful when you're introducing other flavors that you don't overpower or kind of drown out the veal. So cooking method is one of the first things you can think about for a dish, and that too is going to affect, the color of the dish, the texture of the dish, and other attributes that you might not normally think of, but depending on the cooking method can help or detract from your dish. There's a neutral stock. Roux. Roux is a thickener. It's usually a combination of butter and flour that's cooked. And then that cooking changes the texture, the color, and the flavor of the roux, which then flavors the dish. And then you've got the flavor of the butter, which will come through in the dish. Cream and egg is a liaison, and that's changed the texture and the flavor of the dish. Again, these are all, slight, I would almost say neutral flavors, because again, your veal is a very delicate flavor. The lemon cuts some of the richness in the dish. You've got the butter, the cream, the eggs. So the lemon not only give it a little tartness, but it also cut some of that richness. Nutmeg and white pepper, again, are added to the dish, but you shouldn't taste the white pepper. You shouldn't taste the nutmeg. They should just be kind of in the background. And what's the cousin to nutmeg? Actually, nutmeg has an outer coating, and it's called mace. So a lot of times you use mace and nutmeg together because they actually are part of the same berry. Pepper. Then just talking about some of the general concepts. Every ingredient should have a purpose. Think about your main ingredients. Harmonizing and balancing. Again, I think a lot of cooks will start to add a lot of different things to a dish because it's like a kid in a candy store. But then you realize, you've got to kind of balance everything together, make sure that it's just kind of not a muddy mess, which it can be if you start adding too many ingredients. It's something I always say, simpler is usually better. Less is more. That's one of my favorite things in the kitchen. A lot of times people will want to add more and more things. It's like, just keep it simple, and it's much easier to control and focus on your dish. The more things you have, the harder it is to combine things. Simpler is usually better, but there are some classic dishes from around the world that just taste awesome. If you think of, some of the French dishes, then you've got the Indian curries, Mexican mole. Again, that can have 20, 30 ingredients, and they taste great. I'm sure you've had some good moles and some not so good moles. Escoffier, we talked a little bit about in the book. Again, when you start to talk about some classic dishes, a lot of, there's certain flavors that just pair well or go well together. They just have a natural affinity with or for one another. And if you start like looking at a lot of the classical dishes, either French or around the world, you'll see a lot of things are used together, and you realize that they just taste well together. And talking about that, this is just a great book, The Flavor Bible. I highly recommend you getting it. It's probably $20, kind of from A to Z, and it kind of helps you build your repertoire of flavors, what goes well together, what doesn't go well together. And I always have one in the kitchen. And I even had some high school students who weren't cooks. They'd take this book, and when the farmers would come in, they could look at the book, look at the basket of vegetables, create a salad, appropriate dressing for it. So it kind of helps you kind of walk right through.
Helps you walk through or build a dish.
And this is just an example of it. Bacon, kind of the main points of it. It's salty, kind of a medium weight. And then things that go well with it. And then the ones that are bold, it goes well. So if you think bacon and eggs, yep, that goes together. BLT, that goes together. So all those items are bolded. Flavor affinities, bacon goes well with arugula, eggs, pork belly, goes well with these dishes. And that's one dish that always pops into my mind is, a farmer had brought in some fresh spinach, some farm eggs, some other items. The garde people were looking at everything and then looking at the book, and they made a farm salad that we offered every week. It had some spinach, some hard-cooked eggs, some potatoes, and then they did a bacon shallot vinaigrette. And again, it all came right from this book. Tasted awesome. See, yeah, they rendered the bacon out, took the bacon out, left the fat in there, sauteed the shallots, threw it in a food processor with some vinegar, and then slowly added some oil and made a warm bacon shallot vinaigrette for the back to balancing, sour, richness, temperatures, textures.
With that, I think we'll take a little break and go stretch your legs.